Hello, it's Susan Crutchfield from the Noonan Carnegie Library, and welcome to Goodreads 101. This is a program that I gave in front of a live studio audience in 2018. It was one of our in-person programs, so we're now making it available to you. Everything is pretty much the same at Goodreads, so we hope you really enjoy this program. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Carnegie Library. Thanks for coming and spending your afternoon with us. I'm really excited about this Goodreads 101 program today. It's a class I've been wanting to teach for a while, so thanks for coming. All right, Goodreads 101. How many people in this room have started reading a book and maybe you get like 30 or 40 pages in and all of a sudden you go, you know, this seems familiar. I think I know what's going to happen. Then you keep reading, you're like, okay, this seems really, really familiar. And then you're like, yeah, I've already read this book. This used to happen to me all the time because I read so many books and I just can't remember every book I've ever read because I've been reading since I was so young.
When you get our age.
Well, let's just hope Goodreads is still around because this is the solution I found. Goodreads is, its core is a social media app, but it is so much more. It's like a social media app for a book lover. So what is Goodreads? This is the official Goodreads definition according to them. Goodreads is the world's largest site for readers and book recommendations. Our mission is to help people find and share books that they love. So really, anybody who loves books should be on Goodreads because it has so much power. You can do as much as you want with it or as little as you want with it. And that's what makes Goodreads so awesome. So what can you do with Goodreads? You can see what books your friends are reading. You can track the books you're reading, the books you would like to read, and the books you have read. You can also check out personalized book recommendations. The more you rate books or review books or just say, I'm not interested in this book, it'll give you personalized recommendations. No problem. It'll give you personalized recommendations. So it uses an algorithm, as it says up here. It analyzes 20 billion with a B, data points to give suggestions that are tailored to your taste. Now, obviously, like I said, you have to rate books and review them so they'll start knowing what you like. And you can find out if a book is a good fit for you from community reviews. Now, you know, everybody has different styles and genres that they like, but the best part about Goodreads to me is once I've been on it a while, there's certain book reviewers that I really trust, and I'm like, they kind of have the same thoughts about different books that I do. So if I see everyone's talking about this book, I might go to this specific reviewer and be like, well, she didn't like it, so I'm probably not going to like it. So it's amazing what you can just find out, even more than you can if you go read Amazon reviews. And a lot of times you're like, I don't know if I can trust these reviews. But when you start getting to know the people on Goodreads, then you know where they're coming from and you really can start to trust them.
When they give you the ability to, like I read a lot of similar authors over and over, and as you pointed out a minute ago, I'll go back and pick up one and get, as you said, 30, 40 pages into it, and it seems familiar. And sometimes I've gone in and finished the book, so maybe in years.
Right.
Will it give you the ability to track what an author has done, or what's new that he's done?
Absolutely, yeah. It will give you the ability to see their entire catalog, and it will give you the ability to see how many different editions each book has, what year was published. The page is like, it has so much data in there. So we're going to talk about all this. So I thought the best way to talk about it was to show you what it actually looks like. So this is my Goodreads. So this is, you already have an account, and if you need to get an account, just go to goodreads.com. You just need an email address and a password. And so you just have to fill that out, and it's going to give you, obviously mine is, I've been on it for 7, 8 years, maybe more. Let's see, it started in 2007. So that would have been 11 years ago. So maybe I've been on it like 9, 10 years because I've been on it for a while. So of course mine is more filled out, so you'll be starting from a blank template when you start this. But I just want to show you how you use Goodreads and the different sections and the different things that they can do. So first, this is going to be the first page you see when you log on to Goodreads, and I'm just going to point out a couple of things on here. Over here on the left, these are I'm going to show you the books you're currently reading. So basically, you're going to have these things called bookshelves, just like you do at home, but they're just digital bookshelves. And when you start on Goodreads, they're going to give you 3 bookshelves automatically. Want to read, read, and currently reading. So those are going to be the 3 ones. But with the bookshelves, the coolest thing about them is you can customize bookshelves. So let me go. I'm just going to skip over to my books real quick just so I can show you all the different things. You can keep those 3 bookshelves and not add any more, or you can go in and categorize your books. Like for instance, I read a lot of library books, so I have a bookshelf for library books and bookshelves for own books, because I want to know how many books that I actually own, like that I have at my house. So if you look over here, see I have like baseball, Austen retelling, audiobooks, I do book challenges and things like that. So all these you can do as many shelves as you want. You can have hundreds of them, and you don't have to do any of this, like I said. It all depends on how much you want to categorize your books.
You have 19 that you will not finish?
Yes, that means I didn't like them. Yeah, and I want to remember that I didn't like them because they aren't marked as read, so when I go in there it says will not finish, so I know don't try to read that again. So, and then over here is going to be the social media aspect of it, which is your feed. So, for instance, this person is a friend or someone that I follow, and so I can see what she's reading and I can see, oh, this is how much of this book she's done. And down here, it's going to automatically populate this is my, so I know on this book I've already marked it as to be read. Another cool thing with Goodreads is the reading challenge. I know a lot of people who say the reading challenge has helped them read more books every year. And this is just something fun you can do. You don't have to do it, but you can set a goal for yourself. This is how many books I want to read this year. And Goodreads will help you keep track of it. Like right here, it'll say, right now I'm 30 books ahead of schedule. Or it'll say 5 books behind, and they're just estimating it to see how soon you'll finish your books. I read a lot of books.
No, I was thinking, shame on you, you're behind. You know, it's kind of like,
right, it's just reminding you, like, read more. But you can, sometimes I'll set my book challenge rate low because I'm like, oh, I can't possibly get that. And then I'm like, oh, I'm reading more than I thought, so then I can up it. So you can change that, or if you're like, I just haven't had time to read, you can change that anytime. But it's just kind of a fun little thing. And sometimes you can do like competitions with your friends to see who reads more, and it's just a fun little thing that they do. And they'll send you an email at the end of the year once you reach your reading challenge, and it will tell you, this is the longest book you've read, this is the shortest book, this is how many pages you've read. It's just really fun. It's a great way to keep track of your book stats if that's what you're interested in.
Goodreads is run by Amazon.
Yes, it is. Yeah, in 2013, Amazon bought Goodreads. So if you have a Kindle, there's a lot of cool things that fit in together. This is the My Books section, and this is where you can see all the different information that I've put in. So here at the top is where you can add books. So let's see. What book do we want to look up?
She's a keeper.
That's what I was going to suggest.
She's a keeper.
She's a keeper.
Correct composition.
Let's see what it comes up. Let's see what comes up when we put this in. Here we go. Oh, and I'm shocked I don't have that as want to read. How terrible. Okay, so we found the book that we like, and we're like, oh, we want to read it. So what you do is you go over here, and you would click on want to read, and it's now on your shelf. So when you think, man, when I was in the bookstore the other day, I sure wish I could remember that book that looked good. If you put it on your to-read shelf, you won't ever have to remember anything again about books.
That's great.
Yeah, so now it's on there. It's part of your list, and you can come down here and I'll show you all the different information it has. Title, of course, author, you can see the ratings, rating details, you can read reviews, and because they are a part of Amazon now, you can even buy a copy through Amazon.
Of course.
Of course. But see how it says, it tells you how many pages it is. You know, it even tells you the ISBN number and all this information you may never want to know. And then down here, you can see, has your friends reviewed any of the book? And no one has, and you can keep going down, and you can read all the reviews, and then you can even ask questions if you keep going down.
So the reviewers have their name on there.
Yeah, and when you set up your account, you wouldn't have to be like Susan Crutchfield. I think mine says Susan. You can pick a display name, so you may not want to have your full name. You may just want to have your first name, or even you can do a username. There's a part in here, and we'll get to that in a minute when we go into the settings where you can change all that. So this is where all your books are and all your shelves, and what you do. And when we went here, you can see these are just all the books, and they're in the order that are added. So see, this book is here that we just added. And this is a book I just started reading this morning, so it's here. And this is a book I marked as to read, so it's kind of in the row of however you add them. Once you go into this browse category, this is where you're going to get into some more aspects of what it does. Here you can do recommendations, and those are where you can get your personalized recommendations. And like I said, you do have to go in and start reading some books, and having, like those won't show up, they won't be accurate right away. You have to do a little work and be on there for a little while before sometimes you'll be like, that is not a book I'm interested in. So make sure to mark that as not interested, and that will help. Deals, here's another good thing. I get an email every day from Goodreads that tells me, oh, these ebooks are on sale. And so if you're an ebook reader, you can just subscribe to this newsletter, and sometimes they'll send you books for, this is on sale for $1.99, and a lot of times they curate it from your list of what to read, so you can get some good deals on some books. So that's always
The same thing apply to hardbacks?
It's more for ebooks, because a lot of times the publishers will put the ebooks on sale, but not really the hardbacks and the physical books. That's mostly for ebooks. Goodreads does a Reader's Choice Awards every year in November and December. All the people on Goodreads can vote for categories. They have semifinals and then the finals. So if you're interested in a specific category, you can go in here and see, oh, here's mystery and thriller, and you can click on this and check out and see what other readers have liked. So it might give you ideas of what books to read next, and see how it also tells you, like, oh, I've read that, I want to read that, and then if I wanted to read that, I can click on that, although I think I've read that. So it'll tell you, oh, you've already read that, so you don't have to worry about it. And that's also helpful when you're going into vote. When you're looking at all the categories, you're like, oh, I have read this, oh, I don't have an opinion on this because I haven't read it. But that's just something that is just interesting to do, and it's a great place to get book recommendations. And then giveaways is another cool thing that Goodreads does, and this is something you might be interested in with your new book coming up as an author. Authors and publishers will put giveaways up here. So if you've marked down on your Goodreads that you want to read a book, and a giveaway happens to come up for it, it will send you an email saying, hey, there's a book on your list that you've marked to read, and there's a giveaway, and all you have to do is give them your address and you're entered in to win. You can also go to this giveaways page and just scroll through and be like, oh, this looks interesting. It gives you a description, and it tells you this is how many days the giveaway is for, this is how many copies are available, and these are the people who have entered. I've won 5 books on Goodreads, which is very good because there can be thousands of people trying to get a book sometimes, and a lot of times they're advanced copies of books. When publishers want there to be Goodreads reviews the day the book is released, so they'll send you these advanced copies. So a lot of times you can get a good book before it's even been published. I think 4 out of the 5 books I've read were all advanced copies. So it's just a great way. And sometimes they'll also give away Kindle, so it'll tell you right here whether it's hardback, soft cover. And so a lot of times when the book's coming out in soft cover, they'll do another giveaway. But that's a really cool thing. And it's all free. You don't have to pay shipping and handling or anything. The publisher will just email you or just mail you the book or send you the digital link if it's an ebook. But that's one of my favorite things about Goodreads too. New releases is another button over here that you can click on, and it's going to take you to this page, and it's going to tell you, okay, these are the authors you follow, these are the authors you like, and it's going to list all the authors you've read who have books coming out soon. So you can see, so it's not just like everybody. Or you can go over here to do it by genre, and you can see all the different new books coming out, fiction, nonfiction, young adult, etc. So that's just another neat feature. Lists. Goodreads is awesome for lists. And these are all user-generated. So these are the featured lists over here. And some of them are open to adding to this list. Some of them are just closed, where it's just a user on there who's added a list. But it's another great way to find books that are not in a genre, but are in kind of just a user-generated list. So you can see some of these are like, books I wanted to physically snuggle after reading. So they can be just really fun. Or best Christian women's fiction, best books of 2012, best Middle Ages books. So these are all random users, so anybody can do a Listopia, and you just add to it. You can also go under news and interviews, and you can find author interviews, author Q&A, all the news that's going on. So see, there's all these different book recommendations from authors. There's so much here. They have probably the biggest database of author interviews ever. And then you can come down here and see how it says best books of the month, and that's based on how many people on Goodreads are rating it high, is how they do that. So there's all sorts of categories for every genre you would want under there. And it's the Explore tab. This is where you can go, and once again, it's going to pull up all the million different genres. And another way where you get good recommendations is over here. You should pick your favorite genres. I've never done that yet. I don't know why. But if you say, for instance, you're not interested in romance or you're not interested in Western, so you would pick every genre you were interested in, put it here, and it's going to self-select, and it won't pick out some of those other ones that you're really not interested in. So I definitely suggest you do that, especially when you're just getting started. It helps those recommendations. And here it's going to show like top reviews of the week. So that's where you were saying earlier, do people get higher up based on the reviews? These are just, sometimes they use, 200, see, it has 273 voters, and that means people have said, yeah, I like this review, like with a like, and so they'll show up here. And then they do have sponsored content and ads, so just make sure you're reading. You see that some of these books, and a lot of times they'll have the want to read button, and just be aware that it says sponsored books, that's an ad, so yes.
Does that, when they do the reviews, do you have to prove that you are a purchaser from Goodreads?
No.
What about Amazon?
No, anyone can, on Amazon now they have where you have, if you bought it through them, your review is going to be higher. But on Goodreads, anybody can do a review, whether they've read the book or not. So, and Goodreads has a blog, and they feature different things on there. So they're like, see 7 buzzy books that are hitting the shelves today, because it's Tuesday, and Tuesday is when all the new books come out, so Tuesday is always such a fun day. Another thing that Goodreads does, if you add books that aren't out yet, the day they come out, if you have it set up in your email settings, you can set up that you have no emails from Goodreads, because some people might be annoyed by it. I love getting emails from them, but they'll send you an email saying, hey, this book is now available. I'm like, yes, I'm going to go buy it. Helps me spend my money. Community. That's another great tool for Goodreads if you're interested in really getting in to like book clubs and things like that, but you don't necessarily want to go to a book club in person. They're called groups, and you can find a group for pretty much anything that has to do with anything book related at all. This is another thing that might be awesome for your books. You can start your own book club where people read your books, and they can discuss it and do whatever they want. So here's a few groups that I remember of. A lot of these are challenges, like this is, you're supposed to read all the books on your bookshelves instead of buying new books. This is where you read certain books in different categories. This is a group for this other app, a book app. So you can find book groups for specific books, for specific authors, different readathons, subjects, genres, anything you want, you can find it. And you just would search through, you can browse it by different tags over here. And all these are subjects that are in any of these groups. So let's scroll down and see, you can use a Stephen King fans, and this has 10,000 members. So let me go into one of these and show you what it looks like.
Does this have to be started by a second person, or a third person, or can the author do it?
The author can absolutely do it, yeah. Anyone can do it. So see here, so this is the group home, and you'll see over here, that's the moderator of the group, so that's the person who started it. You can have bookshelves in groups, these are discussions, you can do challenges, you can make events, you can post photos, videos, like there's so much you could do. We could talk about the groups all day. But basically, here is where it starts the discussion. These are where the rules are. Sometimes they have rules, about what you can and cannot do in the group and what you can and cannot post, so you always should read the rules first and then come down here, and these are the discussions. So you can see there's all sorts of different discussions. It looks like right here they're doing what's called a buddy read, so everyone's reading Jane Eyre. They probably have a specific amount of pages to read every year. And they probably vote right here on what to read. And then these are for the Mount TBR, there's different levels and they're all named after mountains. So here is where each specific person tracks what they're doing, and so they can open that thread. So anyone can open a thread within a group, and there's always that moderator who just makes sure everything's going okay, and they're the person who usually started the group. So there's just so much you can do in groups, and that's another part of the social media aspect of it. I don't really participate in groups as much as I used to when I had a little more time, but there's just so much you can do in it. But like I said, you don't even have to do anything with groups. You might just want to track your books, so it really just depends. But that's something that a lot of people really love. There's a section for discussions. And these are all the discussions that are going on in my groups. If you don't want to go to the specific group page, you can just do, it's kind of like a shortcut. So you can just click on these, and these are going to list the newest thread first, and you can just, if you want to click through quicker than going to the whole group. And then quotes. Goodreads has one of the largest databases of book quotes. So when you pull this up, it's going to tell you the most popular quotes on Goodreads, and see how there's a like button over here. So if you like that over there, the more people like it, the higher up in this ranking it will go. So if you're like looking for a quote by someone for some reason, you can put it in there and it'll pop up different quotes. Like say you're writing something and you just want to have a fun little book quote, you can find it there. So anytime if you Google like book quotes, you'll see Goodreads is usually the first search term that pops up. So that's just something that's really fun. Ask the author. This is a cool little section that Goodreads has authors come in, and you can ask them anything, and they'll answer it. These are authors you follow. Featured authors are the ones who are usually doing popular AMAs. So it's where they have a chance to interact with people, and say you have this burning question about something, and you can actually get an answer from an author. So that's a really cool, another cool feature that Goodreads has really strong relationships with authors. You can do trivia, book trivia. You can answer trivia, you can do quizzes, and say you're interested, let me take a Harry Potter quiz or something like that. It's just all sorts of fun things that you can do. Creative writing. This is where users write short stories, sometimes long stories, and just post them here for people to read. And like for instance, you could go into heartbreak. And it's going to show you all these different stories that are written by Goodreads users. So it's just a way to maybe if you're interested in reading and you can get feedback from people so they can be like, I really liked this part or I didn't like this part. Or if you get really bad feedback, like, okay, maybe I'm not meant to be a writer. But it's just something interesting that Goodreads does.
That's free. I mean, not all that's free.
Yeah, you can post it for free. People can read it for free. So if it's something like where you want to publish something, just know when you put it up there that people can see it and don't have to pay for it. And here's the most popular 100 reviewers this week in the United States. So this is based on how many comments and likes that each review gets. So when I was talking before about people who you can trust, this is a great way to start maybe going through some of these and you're like, oh, we read the same books. Let me show you how to do that. You click on their name, and you're like, okay, let's see what her reviews are like and see if she likes books that I like. But, oh my gosh, look how she's got a lot of books on her bookshelf. Well, all you have to do is come down here to compare books and click on that button. And once again, this is once you've started adding books.
For interest or hurting children.
I didn't even
Did
see
you
that. That's funny.
Yeah, that's why she has that.
So here it'll show you a comparison of the books you've read and the books she's read. So see, we've read 9.21% of my library and 8.14, so we don't match up that grade, because we have 3,924 non-comments, so I'm probably like, okay, we don't really match up, and down here to list all the books you have in common, so it looks like she likes a lot of graphic novels, which I read sometimes. So that looks like that's the only place we cross over, but that's a great way to maybe find people you want to follow, and you can do this with anybody in the database, and just compare your books and see if you'll like the same books. There's also an event button, and this is where you can go to find book signings, author readings, all sorts of things, and you can up here set it up so it'll just show people that are going to speak in your area. But that's another cool thing. And this is all that you're able to list these for free with Goodreads if you're an author as well. Okay, so that's the overview of all what you can do in Goodreads. I just want to go into here and show you a little bit about the back end of it and what you can do. So once you click on your picture, and you can put any photo you want. You don't have to put a picture of yourself. A lot of people just put grab a stack of book picture off the internet and just put it in there, so you can do whatever photo you want. But to edit your profile, you're going to click on this. And you can put whatever you want in your profile, and you can hide a lot of stuff as well. So see how I have just my first name, because I don't really want my whole name to go on there.
Even your face is hidden.
Yeah, and that's on purpose. So here in the account settings is where you would set up all this stuff. So you can put your full name in here, and then here you could put your full name in and then choose something else. So you could choose a display name to say whatever you want. And I just happen to be like, okay, Susan. And here you can put friends, only if I had my last name in there, which I don't. My friends could see it, but no one else could. And here's where you pick your username. And that's just where it gives you a specific URL that people can go to. If you look at mine is Reading Susan. So this is my Goodreads link. It's goodreads.com/readingsusan. So you can set up whatever you want in there as long as no one else has it. So it does have to be unique. And then you can set even things like, see, only my friends can see that I'm female and stuff like that. And see how I set that no one can see my age and birthday. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can set in here. You can put your, what kind of books do you like? You can put a little biography, and you can add your website. I have a reading blog, so I put that there. So there's all sorts of things you can do, but like I said, you don't have to put a lot of them in there unless you want to. And then if you go over to the settings, this is where you can do things like change your password and your email, where you can handle your privacy. You can set it where no one can see your profile except people you're friends with or Goodreads members, or mine is set to anyone, because since I don't have my last name on there, I don't care. So it can show up in a search engine. But if you don't want a lot of people coming on your profile, you can set it to where only the people that you allow to be friends with you on Goodreads can see it. So they're really great with the privacy. And then you can also allow friends to follow my review or non-friends to follow your review. So some people don't want to be friends with anyone unless they're friends, but they'll let people at least read the reviews, and that's all they can see of your profile, is just whatever your username is and the review. And you can also allow non-friends to comment on your reviews. And since Goodreads is a social media, I have these set up because I don't care if people, I don't put a lot of personal information on my Goodreads. So you can set up private messages, who you share your email address with, which is one. Friend requests, you can set it up where they'll have to answer a specific question. So maybe there's a book you like and you really don't want anyone to be able to accept you as friends unless you actually know them, and you can fill that out. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can do here under the account button. And this is where, like I was saying earlier, emails. If you don't like to get emails, you can set it as where you never get emails about anything. For me, I like to get new reviews. I get those once a day in the morning. They send me an email and it lists every review, and that's a great way for me to find books. So you can click right on the email, like want to read, or you can put never. You don't ever want to get emails from them. You can do that too. Here you can do it'll send you an email when someone sends you a message, asking you as a friend, all these different things, and you can uncheck any of these if you don't want to get emails from them. And I mean, there's so many different options, so just go through those and see, what you want to click. And you can get all emails from your different groups and all sorts of stuff. So that's all going to be right there. Feeds. This is where you can choose what comes up. Remember when we first logged on, that feed page? Here you can pick what you want to be on there. Once again, great customization, so you can go through here and just pick out what you want to show up. Apps. You can link up your Facebook and your Goodreads, so when you post on Goodreads, like say you're like, I'm 50% through this book, or I'm on page 200 of this book, you can set it up where it automatically sends to your Twitter or your Facebook, Google, Amazon. So these are all different feeds you can do. And you can see down here, these are the applications I've given access to.
And when you do these apps for feeds, that's your writing, not somebody else's writing, going to Facebook and Twitter. It's just you.
It's you, yeah. It's just linked up to your whatever account you already have set up. So you can do that, or you don't have to do that at all. Over here, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, the Goodreads app on your phone, which is how I mostly use it, more than the desktop. Widgets, that's where you can, say you have a book blog or an email you can actually set up through Goodreads. You can get a code, and so you can get, say you email a lot of people and you're talking about books all the time, it would put it underneath here, hey, this is what I'm currently reading. Or you can put it on your blog if you have a blog. So sometimes I don't really do that because sometimes I don't want people to know what I'm reading currently. Purchases, you can purchase, like I said, through Kindle, and if you purchase any of those, they would be under here. Deals. This is where you see how mine is checked for deals deals from my want to read shelf. That goes back to that email where they sent you the daily deal, and so you can do it by genre. You can do ebooks only. All these different retailers. So like I said, usually every day I get a deal of the day from Goodreads. And so you can set it up any way you want there under the settings. So these buttons up here, that was your account. This is just another way to look at your friends, popular books. You can look for friends here. You can search names here. And so these are just going to show all your friends. And see, here's a little shortcut over here to compare books with all of them. But these are people I've already added as friends. So this just shows you your whole friends list. And then this is the instant message portion. So these are all, well, it's more like email. They call it email, but it really is more like an instant messenger thing. And so these are all from the different groups I'm in. They can send messages telling you what's coming up and things like that. And a lot of times if you follow authors, you'll get an email from an author saying, hey, my new book's about to come out. So that's what I want to talk about next is the Goodreads app. So this is how I usually use Goodreads. It's on my phone, it's on my iPad, and that's usually how I keep track of books. So I just want to show you, these are kind of small, but really it's just a shrunk down version, but there is a couple of things you can do on the app that you can't do on the website. So this is the feed, that's what the feed looks like, and you can see that's the home button. So it has the same kind of buttons, my books. It's going to list at the top. These are the books you're currently reading. You can click that to see all. You can update your progress, which I like to do because every time I update my progress here, I just click on update progress. You can enter the percentage that that you've read if it's something like an audio book, or you can enter the page number you're on, and it will send like tweets what you're reading, and so my Twitter followers will know what I'm reading and where I'm at. So it's just, you don't have to do that, but I just like to do that and try to keep up with where I am, and then it's going to list all my shelves down here. If I scroll down, if I had the ability, it would show all my shelves. So that's under my books. So you can see it's the same thing as the website. It's just a little shrunk down like an app. It also has the same kind of search and explore page, and if you scroll down there, it'll let you do a lot of the stuff so you can explore by popular genres just like you could on the website. And then my favorite thing about the app is this scan button. This looks weird because that's my countertop, but basically, if you're in a bookstore and you see a book you really like, you pick up your phone, you open Goodreads, and you go to the scan part, it brings up, and you scan it over the barcode, and it brings up the book right away. You can add it to your shelf. Say you don't want to buy it that day, or you want to look up the reviews before you buy it. You don't have to spend all the time putting the title and that in there. You can just scan it and it automatically comes up. It pops up, and the first thing, it will allow you to put it on a shelf, but it'll give you that number right there, like what rating it has. So I use it all the time when I go to the bookstore because I just can't go in and buy 10 books at a time. So I'll be like, oh, I like this one. So you just scan it. And it just keeps track. It's another way to keep track. And so say you scan 10 books, you just scan 10 books at a time. You didn't add them to any shelves. You just scanned them one after the other. You would go over here where it says scan books, click on that, and you can add them to your to-read shelf with one click of the button. You can add all 10 right away to your shelf. So it's very, very handy when you're shopping and you're at a bookstore, and you can use that on any barcode that's on a book. And then the other thing is where you go to more, and this is just more of what you have, the same thing as the website. You can get recommendations. You can go to your reading challenge here, your friends, your groups, your events. Best books of 2017, which those are voted on, are based on reviews and ratings from all the users. So it's not necessarily curated by like book editors. It's strictly based on Goodreads, and then where you can access your settings there. So that's just a really handy tool that you can have in your pocket. I think, that, like I said, the best part about it is that you can do that scanning of the books. That's just another great way to track your books. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Goodreads 101 program. I really love Goodreads. I think it's so great in tracking your book needs and so much more, as you can see from this video. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask it down here in the comments, or you can also send me an email at scrutchfield@cityofnewnan.org, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have about Goodreads. And don't forget to check out all of our other virtual programs. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube. Let us know if there's anything that we haven't done yet that you'd like to see. Thanks so much for joining us today.